Good afternoon, everybody. Today's video is going to be on the Australian government's economic stimulus package announcements last night, where they extended the stimulus package from stage 1 to stage 2. There's a couple of things in there that I wanted to talk about, which I think is appropriate for this forum. Tomorrow we're going to have our first Q&A session, so I'll post a video answering some of the questions that have come in. We've had 12 questions come in from people in different parts of the world, asking questions and asking for discussion about my opinion on how their questions relate to affairs, certainly here in Vietnam and back home in Australia. I've wore a tie today. I haven't worn a tie for about 7 or 8 weeks, so I felt like wearing a tie to remind me of what life used to be like when things were normal. Certainly that hasn't been the case for us for about 7 or 8 weeks over here, where our lives have changed significantly. So it's a bit of a gesture to help me feel normal and try and focus on getting back to a normal life in the months to come. It was really nice last night to see Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party push through this economic stimulus package without objection. What that means is that that normally when there's a package like this or a set of policies like this, it takes time and it goes through several levels of government, and there's objections, and sometimes some of the really good ideas are highly compromised in Australia because we have that democracy and we have those multiple parties that have some votes and powers. So it was really nice to see Labor not object, and certainly all the other parties just push these measures through. It was also really nice to see Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party basically give free rein to the Australian government on how they want to spend an extra $40 billion cash in economic stimulus. They didn't have to do that. They've basically given them full support and said that they can spend it as they think is best, and that the Labor government will support them. So I think that's really nice. The flavour of my last video was that we all need to put our arms around each other and help each other in this time, and I got that feeling from our leaders yesterday for the first time. I think they put politics aside. None of us want to see politics right now, and that's certainly not what we saw last night. We saw a collective of our leaders wanting to try and get this package through to us as quickly as possible. So I think that's going to be the flavour of leadership, certainly at the federal level going forward. I hope it is. Over the next few months, I really think that Labor and Liberal will work together very well and get the help to the people as they need it. This used to be a discussion about trying to save the economy, about the recession just 10 or 14 days ago. That's certainly not even on the agenda now. I think it's inevitable we'll go into recession. I think everyone agrees with that. So these measures are now targeted at trying to soften the blow for all people in Australia. I believe there'll be a third package. I know that's been reported widely. I believe there'll be a third stimulus package. The government just needs some time now to sit back and just see what gaps are in their current 2 stages of the stimulus package. They also need some time to analyse what effect these measures are having, so then they can better direct and target the stimulus for next time. So usually with all these things, people do feel as though they've missed out, or there's groups of people that didn't get something. So I think the government will sit down and look at that, and hopefully in the third phase of the stimulus, they might address any gaps that they see needs to be filled. The first thing I wanted to talk about was what the government is calling the boosting cash flow for employers. Over the last week, I've spoken to a number of clients about this, and there seems to be a little bit of confusion. So this was announced in the first stage and extended again last night. So basically, the confusion's around how much a client's getting or how much a small business is getting. So if you meet the criteria, basically, on the government's website, it states that there will be 100% of the amount of salaries and wages withheld. So that caused some confusion. Some people thought that was 100% of the total salary and wages paid to employees, but it's not. It's the PAYG tax that's been withheld. If you go down the website a little bit more and click on the fact sheet, the fact sheet spells it out very clearly. So what it is, there will be a credit on the business activity statement. It won't be a cash payment into a bank account. So it's a really nice measure, because I think by the time we come to lodge our next BAS return and pay it, some people might get a small refund. Certainly everyone will be getting a reduction in what they typically pay. It's just a nice thing to do, and it's something that is going to hit the mark where the government is trying to take the pressure off, just take one issue away from small business to help them get through. So that's a nice measure. The only thing that businesses that qualify will need to do is lodge your BAS returns. So certainly all our clients will be up to date with their BAS returns, but if you're not up to date with your BAS returns or you're not sure, please contact your accountant. Sometimes things don't get done as you expected, so please make sure that your business activity statements are lodged and up to date so you qualify. If you lodge your own BAS returns, please make sure you've got them up to date. Then you'll qualify and it'll happen automatically, and a credit will appear on your business activity statement. The second thing I wanted to bring up was don't forget our state revenue offices. Every state in Australia has a different state revenue office. They all have different taxes. They all have different decision-making abilities. I want to highlight one that from the State Revenue Office in Victoria, they've come out and said that, or they've recently released that they're going to give a refund to businesses that have a payroll of less than 3 million. They're going to give a refund of all payroll tax that has been paid from 1 July last year right through until now, and certainly there won't be any requirement to pay payroll tax up until 30 June at least. I know this doesn't affect a lot of people because generally your payroll has to be a significant amount before you pay payroll tax. But it's something the State Revenue Office could do, and they did do it. And for those that do pay payroll tax, it'll be a really welcome relief to get that money paid back. Again, I don't know with this one what the mechanism is. I will find out and I will let you know. But it could be a credit on your next payroll tax assessment, or it could be a cash payment. I suspect it'll be a credit. That's how these things usually work. But it'll just take some pressure off, give us a little bit of relief, and both of those two measures I think have really hit the mark exactly where small businesses need them, and along with all the other measures they've implemented. The third and final point that I want to make was don't forget your banks. So the government has announced a lot of policy and a lot of incentives for banks to look after businesses. So and certainly individuals that have loans and things like that. But focusing on businesses, if you go to every bank website right now, they've all got the measures stated as simply as they can put it on their websites. They're all saying that as soon as they understand the detail and they get the fine white papers behind these announcements, they will give further updates. But basically the government has given the banks a guarantee over a lot of the loans, so we do believe that the banks will come out to businesses and will provide us with relief or new loans much easier than what they have been in the past. So keep an eye on those websites as well. I just want to finish this video on a thought I had, and I'm open to criticism, I'm open to discussion, and I'm open to any thoughts that people might have. I'm sitting here in Vietnam and I'm seeing the goodwill gesture that Coles and Woolworths have done, where they've opened up or allocated 1 hour every morning for our elderly to disabled to go and do their grocery shopping due to the panics over there. I think recently today they extended it to emergency services workers. In Vietnam, we get a lot of things delivered to our front door. And have done. It's commonplace over here before this issue hit. So if we want to order anything, generally we jump onto an app or online, or we make a phone call, and it just arrives at our front door, and it's just so easy, and we don't have to leave our houses for a lot of things. So I was thinking with when I look at the pictures online of the elderly lining up at the supermarket, and then certainly how busy they are inside the supermarket, and I just think it must be such an effort for our elderly to get out of bed, get to the supermarket, whoever that is, walk or drive or have someone drive them just so they can get to the supermarket for that hour. And then for some reason we're putting them all in a room together with no masks and no gloves and no protection, and asking them to do all their shopping. And for me, it feels like madness for me to do that. Over here, gloves and face masks, everyone's wearing them now, and it's mandatory to wear face masks outside, because despite what we thought in the beginning with face masks not potentially having much of an effect, that the government over here believes that if it's having a small effect, let's do it. So to look at all of our elderly being put in one room for an hour every day, go through the stress and the effort of getting to the supermarket and back again, I had a thought on deliveries, and it could be a part of the government's announcements or something the government could put into place fairly easily. I think. Why don't the government deliver to the front door of every elderly person? We've got all their names and addresses on the Centrelink's website. We've got a database of them all. Why don't they deliver a standard care package of food, or implement some way that the elderly can order the food they want and then just have it delivered to their front door? That means they don't have to go through all that effort, all that pain. They don't have to be exposed to people who might have the virus, and they get the food delivered to their front door. The government here, everyone that's in quarantine over here, is giving a standard food package to every person. We have 20,000 in quarantine over here now. And the government is doing it 3 times a day. And for Australia, with so many people losing their jobs, it could be an industry where delivery people could provide that service to the elderly and pick up the food and put the orders in the trolleys and so forth. I know Woolworths and Coles do home deliveries anyway. So I just wanted to see, there must be a reason why that can't work, because sitting here, it seems like such a logical thing to do. Keep our elderly at home and deliver the food to them. These things don't take time to put together. We had a state announcement where eight computer engineers were assigned a job to come up with a health app where we self-report our health, and they just did it overnight. And the next day we had a health app on our phone where we report our health to the state government. They know exactly how we're feeling and who's sick and where we are and what we're doing. So these things don't take time, and if the governments are working together to get things done and pushed through, I thought that might be a good idea. Anyway, I'd love to hear people's feedback. You can criticise that idea. There might be reasons why it's not happening, but we'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks for listening. We'll chat soon.